Hello, Sonia here. This is my art YouTube channel, and today I'm sharing a landscape sketchbook process video in my. I'm keeping this Moleskine journal currently for gouache sketches from. I'm using photo references from travels in the summer, and I thought I would. Here is the photo that I am painting from. I'd share this one as I feel like this one took me in real time. I'm now sped up the video 2 times, but in real life it took me 30 minutes, and I fitted it in before like picking the youngest up from school. So I thought it's a good demonstration sketch about how you can do one pretty quickly. And also I deliberately chose a sort of a pretty simple photo reference for this, nothing too complicated. It's just this fairly simple landscape vista to paint from. And so yeah, I thought I would describe a bit more about my process in this video, and then also maybe talk a little bit about some other things I'm planning on my channel. But so on my right you can see my gouache palette. I use a old white plate, is one of my favourite palettes for this sort of work. And the great thing about gouache is that you can reconstitute it. So if you do have to go off and do something else, it's not like acrylic, which is going to dry up and then be a pain to get off brushes and palettes. And I've just squeezed out, because I was in a rush, like I was fitting this one in, I just grabbed some colours, basic colours that I know I can have a go at mixing up. And the other thing that helps get me going is not to worry too much about like assembling my palette with warm, cool tones, or I think I have over the years got the gist of colour theory. And I know there's a million and one good videos on colour theory. So once you get, I guess, a hang of it, maybe it just becomes it's a bit more instinctual, so you can go around and play around mixing up the colours you want. And sometimes I actually kind of like accidental mixes, like I'll be wanting to get one colour and I'll end up with something else. I'm like, oh, well, let's try that out. So a great fun thing about these sort of more loose landscapes, if you're not trying to be too realistic, is you can have around with, as I've talked about before, playing around with colour. Changing the tones a little bit just to suit where you're going with the composition and the atmosphere you're trying to create in your piece. These are Winsor & Newton gouache paints. These are my good quality ones. I've used these for years, and I just like the opacity, and they're really creamy and they are pleasant to use on this sort of paper as well. So I think I've talked about before, I did one more process video like this, but how I draw, really, there's no point doing a complicated drawing, I feel, when you're going to cover it all up with gouache. So in the beginning stages, you may have seen I just go straight in with a coloured pencil, or any pencil, it doesn't matter, and you just map out like your basic composition, where the horizon is, maybe where some bushes are, just to give you an idea when you're filling in space. And then I like to get right to it with the gouache and use it pretty as thickly as possible, just marking out again shapes. Really, it's kind of just breaking your reference into the shapes you want to get down. And again, play around with composition, because sometimes your photo references, you'll find your sketchbooks are a slightly different shape, so you may have to minimalize some sections, or spread out the reference as well. So I've gone on now to the other thing that's sped up my process, is to use coloured pencils. I know a lot of artists do this, crayons and coloured pencils on gouache. That's the beauty of this medium. And so I'm using Prismacolors because they're really creamy and do give a nice contrast on top of the gouache. So I like to go in now, and this part of the drawing I do take a little bit more time over, because a lot of the pencil work will still be left. That's the marks that you're going to see on the finished piece. So I just go in quite quickly with grabbing some different pencils. Luckily, you'll see that I keep reaching across, because these pencils, some of them were a bit blunt, so I had to keep sharpening them in my, that's what I'm doing now, in my electric sharpener, which is to my left. But yeah, so just putting in greens and contrasting colours for the rocks, just to add more interest and detail. And I don't spend too long, like I kind of like, thanks to abstract, I've made a load of videos on abstract sketchbooks, but thanks to abstract mark making, I feel like it's actually helped me become more confident with my more realistic landscapes and figurative work in the lines that I'll lay down, or not being afraid to put in some squiggles or dashes to represent, you know, bushes or shadow, and just for interest. And so yeah, so this is going to be a lot more, I think, pencil work now. I did spend quite a while with the pencils on this one. Each piece is different, so you can adjust which sections you want to bring out. And yeah, that's a nice what I have found is it's always good to go a little bit harsher on contrasts than you would sort of naturally gravitate to. And also try out some, I kind of like adding some pretty tones. Like I've added a lot of mauves and pinks in here, just because otherwise I think it would have been a bit boring for me personally to stick to necessarily like slate greys and beiges, that I guess if I was properly trying to colour match to the photograph. Yep, so, and then I will be going on to the final sort of stage of this will be when I reach for my sort of finer brushes, and then I will add details with thicker gouache. And again, like one of the things I love about gouache is that you can I just love being able to lay the different like whites or pale tones over a dark area, like highlighting in that way, which is quite graphic, which I don't feel I can do with watercolour. I'm definitely much more of a fan of gouache than watercolour, I have to be honest. And here I actually decided, why not? Ages ago I got this gold pencil, and so I'm adding like the bushes in gold. I mean, the pleasure of these sketchbooks are you can change up what the materials you use. I guess I am being a bit more rigid in this sketchbook. It is pencil and gouache mainly, but there's nothing to stop me if I made a mistake collaging over an area using other mediums as well. But yeah, I've done a few. I think I did a Moleskine landscape sketchbook tour, one of my favourite sketchbooks from the past, and I do enjoy this sort of work as well. Yesterday's video with the abstract sketchbook page, that's kind of like how I warmed up in the morning, and then it did help clear my head and help me feel that later on in the day I could I felt like, oh, let's get this sketchbook out, and I wanted to have a go at a landscape. And then from these, I think I'll be thinking about these sketchbooks help me then think about, what about work on canvas? Like I will often what I'm trying to do more recently is go onto acrylic canvases using the sketchbooks as inspiration and then returning to the reference photos. But how do I then translate it into an acrylic painting that could go on my wall, or even that I could think about selling in the future? So yep, here I'm using white sort of pale green highlights, which is the enjoyable part of this final part of the process. I was going really fast here because I was like, I was running out of time. I was like, I need to get going. So I was speeding it up a bit. And then, and the other good thing about having a time limit, like having the fact that I had to be somewhere, you know what? I think it stopped me overworking this, because I could have gone on and on and on, but actually having a time limit sometimes stops you. I think it stops me keeping some spontaneity and overworking a piece. Okay, so there's another I think it's another 4 minutes of this video. So I thought I'd also just have to say, yeah, I had plans. I have made a video of some of my works on paper that kind of been inspired by my loose floral sketchbooks, and it's a short video because I want to encourage myself to put some of my work on display in my own home. Like actually frame it. I do have a lot tacked up on walls and things, but so yeah, that one was a short video, so I might add it to, I'm hoping to make another process video of an abstract sketchbook spread. And I know, like I did ask in the comments last time about materials people find that they find, I don't know, difficult to use or have been avoiding. So I thought I'd try and also make a process video where I'm going to use acrylic paint, because I do have some tips that I've learned how to use it quickly, and how for it not to feel like a big event, like you've got to get your brushes all out and clean them properly. And I do know some of the art materials are a bit faffy, and that can put people off using them, especially if they're short on time, which this year I'm all about trying not to, like, using my good materials. So I'm hoping to share some more tips that I've learned just through trial and error along the way. So I feel like this is adding more detail. I do feel that this piece was helped by the fact that I did choose a really simple landscape photo. There wasn't anything too challenging in this. I think the things that someone's put me off are those really busy city scenes or lots of architecture. I've been avoiding that, but luckily, because our trip was to national parks, I've not had to worry about that as of yet in my sketchbook. So yeah, I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying your art time. My aim with this channel is to encourage people to get sketching. I know I'm actually doing a lot more drawing and painting through sort of getting off my phone, which because videoing these, I video on my phone, so I can't even use my phone when I'm making these videos, which is actually a really good thing, rather than doom scrolling or scrolling on Instagram. And to try, because I think like you can listen to podcasts and YouTube videos and create. My aim is to try and create more than I consume, because I've got a lot out of. I really have got a lot out of making art, and I just want to share my enjoyment of it. And I think right at the end I will also, I did actually in the evening, because I had some leftover gouache on my plate, I came back to the studio and I quickly did another landscape from this landscape in my loose sketchbook, just using leftover gouache, and I'm going to show that in the last clip. So I'll say goodbye. Thanks for watching as always. Until next time.